Good evening. Welcome back. I'm Lee Anderson. It is indeed Election Day. The race for Oregon governor and several high-profile U.S. House and Senate races are all in play, as well as a handful of Oregon ballot measures tonight. Local Democrats are gathering at the Silver Moon Brewing in downtown Bend, while the GOP is setting up its gathering at the River House Convention Center. We'll be checking in with those gatherings in just a few moments. First, the race for governor has been the most competitive Oregon has seen in recent memory. Democrat Tina Kotek faces Republican Christine Drazan and unaffiliated candidate Betsy Johnson. Kotek's the former Speaker of the Oregon House of Representatives, while Drazan was a member of the Oregon House. Johnson served in both the House and the Senate. The gubernatorial candidates will be scattered, but all are watching the results in the Willamette Valley. Unaffiliated candidate Betsy Johnson and her supporters are in St. Helens tonight. Democrat Tina Kotek and her team are in Portland, and Republican Christine Drazan is in Silverton tonight. More than 150,000 ballots went out in Deschutes County for the election. Dozens of people are now involved in the tabulating process. Kathy Marshall was at the county elections office earlier today, where you can still drop off your ballot for another 58 minutes until 8 o'clock tonight.
It's just a couple hours before the ballot boxes will close here at the Deschutes County Clerk's office. And I wanted you to hear from Steve Dennison, the county clerk, about what it takes in terms of staff to process all the ballots.
Our department has 11 employees total. We can't do this ourselves. We bring in 35 to 40 election board workers to manage that process that I mentioned as we're pulling ballots out of the envelopes. We bring in ballot pickup teams, 4 or 5 people that are running around the county constantly picking up ballots.
The majority of the counting will take place tonight. They have about 90,000 ballots already in, but it will continue through next week when the county clerk expects those ballots postmarked by November 8th will arrive here. Kathy Marshall, News Channel 21.
Another hot race in Oregon is for the 5th Congressional District. The winner will lead a newly redrawn district stretching from Bend over the mountains into Lynn County and then into Clackamas County. The Republican candidate is Lori Chavez DeRemer, the former mayor of Happy Valley. The Democratic candidate is Jamie McLeod Skinner, who lives in Terrebonne. Now let's go around the horn once more to our Decision 2022 live cruise. We'll start just about a mile away from our studios with Noah Chass. Noah?
Lee, I'm in the River House in Bend, and the party is going here at the Republican election night watch party. Over one of my shoulders, you can see people, they got their butts in their seats, they're paying close attention and watching to the screen. Over my other shoulder, they're watching Fox News and seeing whenever anything comes in any other race across the country in the Republican favor, a loud cheer. In the Democratic favor, about an awkward silence. But they're really focused on what's happening in our races here in Oregon, specifically the Oregon governor's race with Christine Drazan and the 5th Congressional District with Lori Chavez DeRemer, and both Lori and Christine might be making appearances on that screen through a Zoom, chat and stop by in just a bit. But I'm joined by one of the members of the Deschutes Republican Party. This is Mark Knowles, who's the communications chair. He's going to join us now. Mark, welcome. Thank you for joining me, and tell the people, why did you decide to come out here tonight?
Well, I thought we'd get together in a big living room and hang out together and watch the results come in.
And what in this year 2022, is so important about this exact election in Oregon?
Well, for me, personally and in business, I'm a little concerned about the direction of Oregon, and it's nice to see some of the great candidates that we have, and it was easy to get behind them.
And if things go the way that a lot of people in this room feel they're flowing in that red wave, that Republican wave, what will change in Oregon?
Well, let's hope maybe it'll get a little more business friendly. That would be nice. And something just happened.
Something just happened?
Herschel Walker took the lead in Georgia over Warnock. So that's kind of a big deal on a national level. But Oregon is it's a wonderful place, and we just want to keep it wonderful. And I legit concerns, I think, about our direction.
If things flow the red way, are we going to hear a bit louder cheer and applause than we just heard?
Oh my gosh, yeah. They'll probably a little later tonight, between 8 and 9, I think. Well, who knows? I shouldn't say that.
Potentially around 8 or 9, we might be seeing some results or some indications leaning in, but this is not the only watch party going on in town. There is, of course, the Democratic watch party. Our Carly Keenan is live there right now. Carly, how are things at the Democratic Party?
Yeah, good evening, Noah. Like you said, we are live out here at Silver Moon Brewing in downtown Bend. The party just got started, so hence why we are outside. The Democratic candidates did show up, and they're inside on stage giving some opening remarks. We're going to be hearing from most candidates tonight on this side of the aisle. Now, as you can see behind me, there is some action happening. We've got some live music. This is actually the overflow tent that I'm standing in front of right now. There's an expectation that more than 150 people are going to be here tonight, and I can confidently say when I was inside, I think that number has been reached. So again, the overflow tent will be utilized tonight. It may be cold out here, but that is certainly not stopping anyone here in Central Oregon from being at this Democratic watch party. Now, this event is put on by the Deschutes Democrats, so we've got people all across the board in many different races. I know, Noah, you mentioned earlier, of course, we've got the gubernatorial race, Tina Kotek, people here, the Democrats rooting for her. We've got J.B. McLeod Skinner, a very big race tonight. She's actually going to be here, and I'll be speaking with her in just a little bit. But earlier today, I spoke with our local representative, Melanie Keebler, who is running for mayor, and she told me her expectations for tonight. She's excited, but she does think it's going to be quite a tight race.
I'm feeling really great. You know, our campaign reached out and made connections with tons of voters, especially in the last week or two, and I have full confidence in our county clerk. They run a great program, and they're going to have results really quickly for us, so excited. Yeah, I think we're just going to see some close races tonight. Some of them we might not know tonight. We might have to wait till tomorrow. I'm hoping not the case for my race, but I think that's what we can expect.
And I do want to also point out, similar to what Melanie Keebler said about it being a tight race, and we might not know because ballots can be postmarked for a few more days that will be counted. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out tonight. And again, we have many important races here in Oregon. We'll keep you updated right here on News Channel 21. Lee, I'll send it back to you in the studio.
All right, well, their stage is set now. The crowds have started to build at our watch parties. Now, about every 2 years we get a general or a midterm election like this, and the crowds start to come out. Are you seeing a lot more excitement about this? I know that statewide ballot numbers are down.
I think in general there's been an uptick in interest in politics and elections, at least among the more extreme members of each party. So I think that there's more people who follow elections more closely now, and those people are all voting, but there's still a bunch of people in the middle that maybe don't follow them nearly as closely and don't necessarily turn out to vote.
Judy?
Well, yeah, I would agree with that, and I think that one of the big issues we have right now is getting some kind of excitement within our younger generations, is building up that knowledge and interest in being part of the picture, basically. And I think actually I've been surprised that this midterm election, I think that it has generated quite a bit of interest, and you've had some pretty vibrant folks involved in the process. I've been seeing people out knocking on doors and doing a lot of the sort of community activism that you usually see more of in a presidential year, but I have noticed that that's, I think, bumped up a little bit this time.
What about, Jeff, those people who I see on almost a daily basis who say, man, I'm so tired of this, I wish this were over? Is that voter apathy? Is that just overkill?
Well,
What's going on?
I can't blame them. You talked about the political ads, and Oregon is especially brutal because we have our ballots for 2 weeks or more. And so there's like 14 days worth of election days here.
Right.
A lot of states aren't like that. So we are subjected to an unusual amount of phone calls and ads and everything else. So it does get to be a long political season.
All right, we're going to talk some more in just a bit. We're also looking at ballot measures in this election. Bola Badabo joins us now with a breakdown of some of them. Bola?
Yeah, Lee, we're covering a lot of important ballot measures, including ballot measure 114 related to gun control. Now, supporters say it'll reduce death and violence, while opponents say it's poorly written and it'll take too long for people to obtain their firearms. Bend City Councilor Anthony Broadman supports the measure, while attorney Sean Colley does not. And here's what they had to say.
We want our places of worship and places of governance and places in public to be safe from gun violence. I understand the horror of gun violence. I want to do everything I can to make sure that we as a community don't have to ask police officers to walk into another mass shooting.
Measure 114 will have a magazine prohibition. It will prohibit any magazine greater than 10 rounds. That will prohibit folks from being able to defend themselves.
Some other measures voted on includes Measure 111, which gives every Oregonian access to affordable health care without raising taxes. Measure 112 changes the wording which removes slavery from the state's constitution. Measure 113 holds politicians accountable for being repeatedly absent from votes in the Capitol. If Oregon legislators have 10 or more unexcused absences on days when they're supposed to be voting on bills, they lose their seat after the next election. And for Measure 9152, Deschutes County votes on whether or not to allow a program for the manufacture, delivery, and administration of psilocybin. And that's a quick look at those ballot measures. In Bend, Bolivarebo, News Channel 21.
Here's our web poll question tonight. Do you think this election will bring significant change? As our political analysts slide on in.
Okay.
Do you think this election will bring significant change? Now, we're asking this rhetorically because we want this as our poll question. Maybe we'll come back to this and ask you folks, because I think it's an important question. There's much more to come on this Decision 2022 election night. Coming up, they'll be talking about some local races. Stay with us.
There you go.